whether the court during litigation would interpret that your, say, claim 1 should claim 1, the court might interpret that the all the claims or independent claims should include
have that advantage, that the competitor's product should have that advantage.
Yeah, or the basic operating principles should be is interpreted into claim 1.
I mean, the competitor may argue that. I think the risk of that is very low if we are not saying that if we are not saying the invention has this feature. The court will still look at claim 1 and make sure that claim 1 describes a workable product or a workable service, but the court cases that I'm aware of where the court has limited the scope of the claims based on a purpose or an objective or an advantage, usually I would say almost all of the time uses the term invention. So things like the Gentry Gallery case and things like that, or the Tronzo v. Biomet case. In those situations, the specification used the term invention and very often used words from that list of words to avoid from the lecture on Wednesday. Things like critical or essential or things like that are usually used in combination with the term invention in those types of situations. So the risk of just describing an advantage or an improvement and having that damage or limit the scope of your claims, I think is very low. And I think in today's U.S. patent system, if you have that advantage type information, it really, really should be included to avoid just for the 101 subject matter eligibility concerns, because that's been a major concern in the U.S.
Okay, I got the point. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I have one question. For example, in the final office action, we have allowable claim 5, but the claim 5 depends on another dependent claim 3. The features of claim 5 is not related to claim 3, so we just want to add the additional features of claim 5 based on the specification. But sometimes the examiner will accept it, but sometimes the examiner just don't accept it and indicated he need more consideration in the adversary action. So I just wonder, do we have a good chance to let the examiner consider it if we just add the additional features of claim 5 in the response to the final office action?
So let me confirm the fact pattern. So we have claim 1 is the independent claim. Then we have claim 4 that depends from claim 1. We have claim 5 that depends from claim 4. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. And claim 5 was allowable, and the client or your company is seeking to incorporate 5 into claim 5 into claim 1 without including claim 4 into claim 1. Is that correct?
Yes, the features of claim 5 is not related to claim 4. So we just want to, based on the specification, just add the claim 5, not without the claim 4.
Right. So so the examiner said new search and consideration would be needed.
Yeah, we do this for different cases. Sometimes the examiner will accept it and allow the application, but sometimes the examiner doesn't allow it and just indicated he needs more consideration.
Right. So if the examiner says more consideration is required, then the examiner has a proper basis for making the statement that more consideration is required, because you are presenting a new combination of features to the examiner. So the examiner has examined claim 1 + 4 + 5, but the examiner has never examined 1 + 5. So the examiner has never examined that combination of features. So this is a new combination the examiner has not considered. So the examiner can do that, and it is proper. It's kind of it's not a very nice thing to do, but the examiner is within the rules and the guidelines to do that. If you want to avoid that situation, then you can add claim 4 and claim 5 into claim 1. At that point, the case should be allowed without an RCE.
Okay.
My recommendation would be that, if claim 4 or if claim 5 is not related to claim 4, then in the initial drafting of the application, we should not have claim 5 depend from claim 4. Right? If claim 5 does not rely on the features that are described in claim 4, then we should have 5 depend directly from claim 1 in order to avoid this type of situation during prosecution.
I see. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Yeah, Josh, would you mind look at the message box? I think an audience called Bing, he or she raised the question there.
How do I?
Do you see?
Okay. All right. When we file a PCT in China. So the question, I don't know if everybody can see this, but I'll read it so that everybody can hear it. It says, when we file a PCT in China, we draft the application usually having the term invention, the object of the invention. In the national phase, if we enter the US, we have to translate the specification into English. How could we treat the words like invention or the object of invention? So when you enter by national stage, there's the mirror translation requirement. So, if the term is invention, then it needs to be translated as invention. That's required. If you want, you can file a preliminary amendment at the time of the national phase and say, and adjust the specification to say at least one embodiment of the invention. That's something that we have done for some clients. Or if you go into the US by a bypass continuation, so you file a continuation of the PCT in the US, that does not have the mirror translation requirement, and so you can directly modify the specification as long as you don't add new matter to say at least one embodiment of the invention or something like that. There are some benefits and some disadvantages to national phase and bypass continuation. We have a little bit of time, so I'll give you just a brief differences. So as I mentioned before, the national phase requires mirror translation. The bypass continuation does not require a mirror translation. The national phase, if you have received the International Search Report, the ISR, the government fee for the national stage will be less than the government fee for the bypass continuation. The national phase for restriction practice will be reviewed using the unity of invention standard, which is more difficult to make a restriction. A bypass continuation will be, the US restriction practice will be applied. These are all in the rules. One of the things that's not in the rules that is just kind of a byproduct of the way the USPTO docketing system works is the bypass continuation goes to a different portion of the examiner's docket because it is a continuation. And so often examination will begin 3 to 4 months sooner with a bypass continuation than with a national stage. Now, like I said, that is not a rule. That is just a product of how the USPTO system is currently working. And there's no guarantee that that will happen. But those are some of the advantages or differences between national phase and bypass continuation ways to enter the US.
I think just now I saw somebody raise his hand. Okay.
Okay.
Here we go. Yep. Wait a minute. Yeah, Professor Gong, please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Joshua, for your detailed lecture. From the PPT, I just see you said that in your patent claim application, you use graph or picture to illustrate your claim, and this is better. But I think that in some patent or some invention, especially the chemicals, the medicine, something like that, they use a formula, but they do not use some procedure, some picture. So that means you for the mechanical machine or something like that, it's very vivid or vivid detail, show the detail of the invention. That is right. But sometimes for your invention, it's difficult to describe in picture.
So yes, I mean, some things are difficult to describe in the picture. And for the chemical area, it would, depend the times that you would be able to use, for example, the annotated drawing would be when you are, maybe if you're going to argue the location of a functional group, like on a benzene ring or something like that. If the location of the functional group is important, you could, use an annotated drawing that says, look, the prior art, they have it here at the 3 location, and our claim says it's at the 5 location or something like that. So there are situations in the chemical field that the annotated drawing can be useful, but yes, it's not the annotated drawing is not something that always works in 100% of the situations.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Joshua. Another question I want to ask Professor Liu Bingqiang. As Joshua said, is when you make the application in the US, it's better to make an interview with the examiner and that is better. When we're talking about your detail of your patent, it maybe helps the examiner get a better understanding of your invention, and that is maybe to make a faster of your examination procedure. But my question is that to the Professor Liu Bingqiang, in China, can we make an interview with the examiner in China? I think it's very difficult.
So again, I'm not an expert on this, but my understanding from the last time I had this discussion was initially Chinese examiners or historically Chinese examiners did not want to do interviews, but that attitude is starting to change and they are becoming more available for interviews. So maybe not to the same level as the US, but I think that it's something that's happening a little bit more often. I don't know. Can you answer that a little bit more than I can?
Yeah, sure. Josh, I think Soyi can add something on. Also, so before she replies, I can comment a little bit.
Okay,
是的，那个 also I'm going to
That's
answer
fine. Go ahead.
Professor.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
You're
okay.
fine.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
龚教授，肯定是可以的。这个其实包括我们局里也是，就是指南什么都有规定啊，关于说是这个叫我们叫那个叫会晤哈，我们叫会晤，实际上是欢迎会晤的。也包括我自己原来在局里的时候，我们也是欢迎审查员的会晤的，因为确实是面对面的沟通，比起这种叫书面的这个往来呀，是这个更高效的啊。可能确实就像就是刚才其实也提到啊，因为就是毕竟他是在他们公司在国内就是索毅女士哈，也是在国内负责的，所以后续大家有什么问题，其实也可以去直接找索毅女士哈，尤其是涉美国这一块。所以呢，Josh现在对国内的一些情况也了解。确实可能在以前呢，大家对这个会务会比较谨慎，但现在呢，其实可能是各种原因吧。一个比如说包括是申请量大呀，希望能够更快速的处理案子啊。等等，各种原因加在一起吧，所以说这个会务呢，应该说是叫被用的越来越多，所以呢，在这里也叫建议大家吧，如果是大家是申请人也好，这个代理人也好，还是你可以呢，多主动的和这个审查员去联系啊。其实我们作为审查员的时候哈，当然我现在已经不是审查员，原来我是审查员的时候呢，其实我还是很希望代理人能够主动来和我们取得联系的。这样的话，其实有很多问题啊，通过一个电话呀，甚至如果说面对面啊，是能够更高效的这个得到解决的啊。那个索毅女士，你看看有没有什么补充？谢谢。
龚教授，关于这个问题的话，我觉得是有2点，就是美国审查员呢，他是特别喜欢主动打电话，就是说，美国审查员他每个月都会主动打电话联系代理人，然后会就是给一个 proposal， 比如说修改的建议，然后说问申请人这样修改是不是可以，然后是不是可以授权，然后这种的就是说审查员他是特别积极的。然后还有一种呢，就是这个代理人或者说申请人申请跟这个审查员去会晤，然后美国审查员他接受的比率也是在95%，就是这2点来说的话，就是说这个通过会晤可以加大美国审查员他的这个审查的这个效率。中国审查员呢，我原来在局里的时候，我觉得就是中国审查员主动打电话给代理人的情况不多，因为原来局里的规定呢是只有简单问题，比如说约呀，然后这个就是不清楚的问题，这种能够说用电话解决的，然后是鼓励是通过电话来这个代理人那个审查员主动跟代理人联系。但是如果要是涉及一些这个修改范围，这个范围大小的修改问题，局里呢是建议发通知书的。所以呢，就是这个美国审查员他的这个权限特别大，他可以就是直接 propose 一个这个 amendment， 然后告诉申请人，问申请人是否可以接受。但是中国审查员是必须要通过答复，然后通过意见陈述这种形式来提交的。然后呢，如果要是说申请人主动约这个审查员，一个是面对面的面谈和这个 会晤和这个电话会晤的话呢，就是这有一定的成功率，就是可能审查员呢他会比如说不 available，像面对面的会谈的他的这个情况我见到的是比较少。我在当审查员的时候就见过2次这个申请人当面的会晤，然后这个申请人约过来的这个电话呢，倒是会有一些，但是并没有说像美国审查员，就是说你只要是跟审查员约时间，他就是基本上是95%都能够接受，然后呢去跟你讨论的。这个是我觉得后来应该是专利局呢也讨论过，就是说要加快这个审查，所以呢会推进现在审查员跟代理人的沟通呢，可能电话会晤会多一些，但是呢，就是可能我觉得还是应该再学美国审查员这种的这个形式，会更加促进这个授权呀，或者怎么样，有利于授权的情况下，然后让他是可以主动修改的这种权利的话，如果能够加大对中国的审查进度啊、审查效率的提高，会更好一些。这是我的回答。
是这样的。
OK，
就
龚老师
是
接着刚才索义女士的这个，我这边再补充几点，就是尤其是美国的哈，其实我们之前我们主办过的另外一个关于美国的一个系列课程啊，龚老师你应该知道，就是我们那个老审带你通过美国专利里面，我们有一节是专门谈这个 interview 的，其实就是其实跟大家所有人分享，其实不管是在国内还是国外哈。其实你都是在人和人打交道，你审查员和这个代理人之间嘛，人和人的，所以这个心理学这个东西，其实在里面其实有时候会有些作用。所以上次我们的那个课里面，我们也提到过，比如说你要去做这个会晤的时候，是谁去谈这个会晤，以及会晤的时候怎么去穿着啊，这个沟通啊，其实这都是蛮多一些技巧在里面啊。所以说，其实大家要细节我就不展开了哈。大家还是要注意一下，咱们就说如何用好这个会晤这个事情啊，龚老师。
好的，谢谢啊。实际上就是说呢，像在美国，它这种直接约谈啊，直接会面，我觉得对那些技术上的那个细节问题呢，应该可以加厚双方的了解啊。这是个很好的方式。好，谢谢啊，谢谢啊。
是的，是的，好，也谢谢您。Okay. Okay. It seems we have no more question come in. Maybe we can conclude today webinar. Yeah. So thank you again, Josh, and thank everybody. Let's well, since we are we are just online and we cannot do this together, but I'd like to represent our audience to extend our sincere thanks to you for your 2 wonderful lectures. Share your vast experience and expertise with us. I believe everybody learned something about US patent drafting and OA response practices. And we are looking forward to having you again in our future events. And our audience, just a reminder to you, I think you all have George's email address already. So in case you have any question, you can go directly to George, or you can contact Mrs. Soyi as well, the Chinese representative of Hauptmann and Hem. So if we have no more questions, then we can conclude here. So thank you, Josh, and thank you, everybody. So you have a good day.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Take care, everybody. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.